the profiles from the ACE booped over and are now on GB. And so it's you don't have to enter it again. You can propagate your profiles and range cards from device to device.
Topography, that like if you've hiked in the mountains and which peak is this on a map, like, well, now I can range it and find my distance. The kind of numbers it is.
What is up, everybody? Mark on the mic, my good friend, Mr. Ryan Muckenhern to my right. Across the table from me, Mr. Dustin Langsdorf and Mr. Ben Farrell from our product development team. And guys, this is a new products alert. We have multiple products on the table right now. There's a ton of tech here, a ton of tech. And to help us relay that information, that's why we brought you guys in.
Mark, that was beautiful.
Little play on words
awesome.
there.
That was awesome.
Still got it, ladies and gentlemen. He's still got it.
Ryan, speaking of tech, it's like you're like a 16-year-old kid at the dinner table with your phone. What's going on over here?
Well, Mark, I have the new ACE weather meter in my hand, and I have a really awesome feature that the geniuses back in our new product development team baked into the device. Not only will this tell us our wind speed, our pressure, our temperature, our humidity, but when you're working on the range and you've had like a barrel cook-off moment where she's probably a little too warm and you got to let it cool down, you ask yourself, what are you going to do to pass the time? How are we going to stay stimulated, mentally and physically? They cooked snake into the program. I'm afraid to look the wrong direction, so I don't know what camera it is pointed at. Oh my! I hate the wall. I have a new high score though. It's got snake. You guys, I can't tell you enough how number one important this feature is. Number two, how much I love that you built snake into the program.
I mean, you kind of led with the grand finale there, Ryan. But,
you started. I told you I was going to just continue to play, and you could pull me in whenever you were ready.
Let's. We've dove in. Let's dive in. I think we might as well start with the ACE. Ryan is holding it right now. Or let me ask you guys this question. You guys are the pros. What do you think the order of operations should be with the products here?
Yeah, let's start with the ACE.
Let's start with relay.
We can do that.
Because this is our umbrella, and then the first physical product.
It does. That does close the loop on the intro as well, if we start with relay.
Correct, because you dropped that in there real subtle.
Yeah.
Real nice.
Yeah, guys, let's talk about relay. It's it's kind of it's new. Yeah. It's cool.
Kind of, right? So it's the one product that isn't on the table because it's not a physical product. It's a software product. So relay is really what enables sharing of real-time ballistics, weather, rifle information across all your devices. So the impact that we have launched currently, well, I guess this video is coming out when the products are coming out, so they're all currently out, but the impact that's been out for a couple of years can communicate with geoballistics and a Bluetooth remote. That communication structure really was the foundation for what relay is. So we've expanded relay into now the Talon 10X and 12X binoculars, as well as the ACE weather meter.
Yeah, so like when you hear relay, if a product is a relay product, that's telling you that it can talk with other products that are relay products. So you're looking at the phone, couple different products here. They can all talk together using the relay network.
And when when did we start development on the Impact 4000? Is that 2020? 2020. You guys are already forward thinking to 2025 at that point. Like you're gonna cook it into this, which we kept hidden. Like it wasn't something that we marketed. We didn't talk about it. Knowing that the suite of products was going to expand that had comms availability or connectivity with that device or with each other's, right? That I think was so important that you guys had done that. And then we're thinking ahead to devices like the ACE, like the Talons, and then whatever else we have to come. It was a long time to sit on that, though. Keep it quiet.
It was.
Yeah. I like to think I did an okay job. I didn't spill the beans. Because we've been asked.
Yeah, you're the one talking to customers. So if the beans got spilled, we'd come right to you, Ryan.
I always tell people, like, you can't interrogate me because they actually keep me in the dark on a lot of things. So, like, cut my fingers.
I mean, they can interrogate you.
Yeah, cut my fingers off all you want. Like, you're not going to get anything out of me. Like,
they're like,
I don't know.
They're like, this guy's good, and you're like, no, I really don't know.
Just don't know.
Like, I would have told you by now. Like, so guys, the relay network, like you're talking about, we have multiple products on the table. A person could have one, they could have all of them, and if they do have all of them, all those products can speak to one another essentially.
Yeah, it's very flexible from a product end use and from software. Like Ryan said, we kind of launched it softly, quietly with the Impact a few years ago, but we've been able to grow that foundation to cover binoculars as well as ACE weather meters as well as other products in the works. So it's functional for us that we can expand it across other products. But then the way the products communicate, if all you use it for is simple communication to the app to help me set up my profiles, great. But if you want to get more exposure to other devices and you want to pair your binoculars with your weather meter and use those together, you can do that. If you want to pair multiple binoculars and the weather meter and the Impact, you can do that. And I think there's so many use cases that we didn't predict when we started down this road. And then you start giving it to people to test, and they use it in ways you didn't expect, but it still worked for them.
Yeah, I imagine people are using it in ways you didn't expect. Different user groups are using them, and catering the features to their needs or application. And that's one thing that's cool. Like for me as a hunter, like there's ways that I use it. A PRS shooter might use some different features or need different things. So it just is so customizable.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing too, Ryan kind of mentioned it, that, it's been kind of kept under our hat where, for example, the Impact could actually pair to another Impact.
Yeah.
When it was first launched as is, that was a potential use case that, we didn't really talk about much or sell it because it was, there might be some niche type use case for it. But how do you tell the story about relay with just that? And so, I'm super excited to be here today now, a couple of years later with, an ecosystem that really helps to kind of tell that story, what it's about. So it's been cool to see, it was almost like an Easter egg for the Impact that you could have two of these on the network, and what could I do with that? I've seen some people mount them up on a spotting scope with a cage, and now you've got, spotter shooter type communication, and you don't even need to talk to each other to share info. It's just going to boop it right over. So now
is boop the technical term for that?
Yeah. Well, there's beeps and boops.
Okay. Yeah.
So don't get them confused. Yeah.
So that specific use case, I think one regular customer figured that out.
Yeah.
And it was exactly as you described. It was a hub-mounted Impact on a spotter and then a shooter. And they called and did we just break it? And we just quietly kind of dismissed it. Oh no, if you go into the connected devices and you remove and just get rid of it and it'll be okay. Because we weren't sure whether or not, people could start drawing some conclusions once that communications bridge was made, that there must be something else cooking. But I think one person figured that out, which is cool.
Which that really never bothers me. I personally really like when those little Easter eggs slip out and folks, they get their wheels turning or they speculate.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, that's part of the fun of being interested in new products or just, the tech and the different things that we use. Well, since I think we're there now, let's talk about the ACE weather meter. Outside of Snake, what does this thing do?
So it's what it sounds like. So a ballistic weather meter, it's almost like a phone app, but in a field durable device that you can take out to the field, drop, beat around. It's got weather sensors right on it. So Ryan, if you hold it up, you can kind of see the temperature sensor through that hole sticking up. In the back, there's a little membrane that on the other side of that's where we sense pressure and humidity. And then obviously the wind sensor on top gets you your wind speed. Thank you, Ryan.
Yes, I've been waiting for that the whole time.
So, it's got ballistics, your weather. You can build your rifle right on it. You can build range cards, target cards. So,
I want to mention the rifle thing, and we'll get into this more with the convenience of relay products and not needing to be slave to the app. It took me 4 minutes, and I built my 300 Super Wisdom profile on there. So
Did you manually type the name in with the arrow keys?
everything? So it's 4 minutes, top to bottom, full data package, my data, boom, in. And now I'm looking at 50-yard resolutions on my chart, and I've got my 1,000-yard data. There it is, done. Which is super handy. So
Well, that's handy and impressive because I've generally found when I think of like whatever, items like my inReach or something. Yeah, I can send a message on the unit itself.
yeah,
But
it's worse.
I'm going to do it through my phone.
Yeah, it's worse than T9 predictive text.
Right.
Because you're sitting there going, oh my gosh. So yeah, I titled it 300 SWSM, and I have the full pallet 212 Barnes bore rider in there, the muzzle velocity for my gun. And I'm looking, like I said, at my chart right now. It corroborates with my app. Everything is the same because it is powered by GeoBallistics. Super groovy, super groovy. And if you ever used, similar devices, one of the problems is that screen size and then the non-intuitive menu and button function. This solves that problem quite handily. So quite excited about that. This is something that like I'll use this because it's easy enough for even me to use.
But I'd say like even with the screen size, like it might be a little bit wider than other, things similar on the market, but it's really convenient, small, lightweight, handy.
No, it's pretty trick.
Yeah, it's real similar footprint to most cell phones.
Yeah.
A little bit thicker, but like the dimension, so it slides in your pocket, it's just a little bit thicker. So wherever your cell phone fits, as long as it fits dimensionally on the outside, it's a little bit thicker, but kind of that same footprint.
And we've been running these in prototype now for, probably 18 months?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. These were out on a hunt 2 years ago.
2 years.
3D printed and painted so it
Yeah.
looked the right color.
Yeah.
That's what these started as.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's been fun the past couple of years to come back into your guys' area and see all these like gutted robots all over the desk. There's wires hanging out and hooked to computers, and at first, because they really don't tell us everything. Like you can't crack either one of these guys either, and especially Ben, the level of stoicism he exudes is ridiculous. It's like, what is that? Oh, prototype. Like there's just no
Good to know.
explanation. Yeah. So pretty neat. Yeah, I'm excited because now it has a usable user interface. The buttons are large enough that I'm not sitting there with a stylus trying to press them, and I can see full text. There's no abbreviations. I'm not making incorrect interpretations about what I'm entering into the data field. Very cool product. And the fact that I can program in 4 minutes my data package on the device and run with it on the range. If I left my cell phone in my truck or on my nightstand or whatever, I'm in the field and it doesn't work, it's dead. Good to go.
Yeah, well, and that's a big thing we found. You talked about customization with Relay Network, but we tried to build that into each product.
Sure.
So I prefer to pick a bullet from the library so I don't have to memorize BCs and lengths, and then I can name my rifle a real name that I don't have to fumble through the buttons. But if I'm at the range and I want to update muzzle velocity, I want to do that right from the device. I don't want to have to deal with getting my phone out. Some people do want to, some don't. So you've got that flexibility for whichever you prefer. And then in the setup, you were talking about extra real estate. As you go through, like barrel twist is one, you can enter the number, but down below we have like helpful hints that if you don't know this really only affects your spin drift. Put in 10, it's going to get you close. So it's I can put in 10 and maybe I'll look this up when I get home. This will be good for today.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm pretty jazzed about this. What makes this, in your guys' opinion, aside from the convenience thing, something that somebody should own? Like what is useful about having a weather meter as a shooter or as a hunter?
One thing is that it really gives you a chance to see how atmospherics will impact your ballistic solution. So if you're someone who's, never really, a lot of times it'll be like you put in a number, maybe you're trying to figure it out, but there's a lot of there might be a lot of back and forth or this and that. Now this is going to give you a UI where you can kind of tweak things and see how it happens and maybe learn a little bit more about what to expect your projectile to do if you're at the top of the hill or down in the valley, different things like that.
Yeah, I'm in the environmental mode right now, or in the wind mode and environmental page. So it's showing me 78 degrees, 28.33%, or 28.33 inches of mercury, 39% humidity, no wind speed because it's not windy in here at the moment. But it's giving my density altitude. This is something that I'm seeing more and more shooters, even entry level shooters, becoming like aware of or cognizant of that DA figure, which is so vitally important for like understanding bullet flight and actually hitting targets at distance. You know, the old way we used to do this was you just picked like an actual elevation and you typed it in. I mean, for hunting, it can get you appreciably close, but we've all been in scenarios where we're at, you know, whatever, 7,000 feet, but whatever our atmospheric condition is can modify that number enormously. Like we've had DAs at Coon Rock that were negative altitudes, you know, we're at like negative 1,000 feet, and we've had DAs out there that were 3,000 feet, and the actual standing altitude's like 1,180, or maybe a little under that. And when we're talking about 800, 900, 1,000 yards or more, hugely impactful to that firing solution. It goes from a third, second round hit maybe because you can spot it and correct, hopefully, to very potentially a first round impact at those extended distances.
Well, and it really does mean the difference between a hit or a miss, or potentially, you know, maybe it's a hit that's a little low or a hit that's a little high. You know, obviously more critical on a game animal. I can think of a hunt that I was on. It was a cold weather, fairly high altitude. I wouldn't say high altitude, but like a mule deer hunt.
Yep.
Right. I think we were probably between 7,000 and 9,000 feet, depending on
plenty high
where we were.
Yeah.
This was back in the days for me personally. It was, you know, go on the old LRBC, plug in my numbers, right? Print a dope chart, tape it to my stock, and do things like, well, I want this to be pretty versatile, so I'm going to set it for 50 degrees, and that way if it ends up being, you know, 70 degrees, or if I go down to whatever.
Yeah.
Where I'm going
right,
with
but
this,
you're the least wrong.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
Exactly, but it ended up being bitterly cold. We ended up, you know, wherever we were on the mountain. I shot at a mule deer. I want to say it was probably, I think it was between 4 and 5. I don't remember the exact range. Proned out, gun was shooting really well, and I missed low. And I know I missed low because we were filming it, and I watched that bullet trace go exactly. I mean, it was heading right for him, and then it just split the wickets right below his heart between his legs.
Wickets.
And I venture to get, like, could that have been me? Absolutely, right? But I also go back to those environmentals and how that tolerance stacking of those environmentals, I would actually venture to guess that a lot of that, or at least part of it, had to do with the fact that I didn't have a customized ballistic solution to where I was at that point in time on the earth.
Right.
I think the outcome is different there, personally.
And how much did you spend on the tag?
Oh, I mean, the tag, the hunt, the travel, all the things, right?
Right.
Yep.
You know?
And it comes down to that one critical moment, and then poof.
Right.
Now, you ended up getting the deer, right? Was it that deer or was it a different deer?
There was a little bit of shooting
Yeah,
involved.
got Western. That was the first time I ever heard you say that.
Well, and again, I mean, you know, I guess, you know, what is that when you, am I spilling the tea on myself, Ryan? I don't know. You watch those Real Housewives shows. I'm teasing.
Okay.
You don't even know what that is. I shouldn't know what that is. But the impact was so close that the guys watching it, you know, the deer bucked like he was hit.
Sure.
So they're like, hey, he's hit. This is all in the heat of the moment. We went back and watched the footage. You're like, oh. Yeah. And so then I'm like, well, I've got one in him. Now it's on. And, you know, like I said, ended up getting another bullet in him and got him. So it all worked out. Nice buck, all the things. But maybe if I had these products, it ends at that first shot.
Right.
What I think is neat is like, so I've been running the GB app now for years. And like even before we had gone public announcement with us having the app, And on it, you have the ability to pull like station data if you have cell service. I can also manually amend the data in there as well. But like a lot of places that I go, I have a bar of reception and I can push the button and I can get the data in there. Some places I go, I can't. Now I can, right? So this is worth having for those scenarios that Mark is talking about, because it is real. And if you do enough shooting at distance, even if you're on like our home range, like we've played around at our range, which we're super fortunate to have. I think we go up to like 1040 or 1050 on it. 12 months a year, you have different environmentals, ergo you have different data every time you're out there. And it can be the same rifle. We've done filmings out there where the data changes throughout the day because of the environmental changes that are occurring. This sorts that out.
I mean, I mean, in case in point, we've talked about it before when we were working on that 300 Super Wisdom project.
Yeah.
You know, we had a couple months pass between
August,
filming
October.
dates,
and
the ballistic package was
totally different.
significantly different. Yeah.
And like the muzzle velocity was the same, the bullet was the same, the rifle was the same, the scope zero distance was the same.
The shooting position was the same.
Correct. But in air flight, totally different.
Yeah.
And you'd look at that on paper if you weren't aware of like what DA can do, and you think like, oh, the chronograph's wrong or the load is bunk or something, right? You wouldn't necessarily know that. Oh, it's just temperature, pressure, and humidity changing, and all of a sudden we get very different figures on the drop chart. I want to ask, advanced and simple mode.
Yeah, it's kind of what it sounds like, right? Simple is a more streamlined view. So you've got your windage and elevation solution, just one wind. That's one half of the screen, pretty clear. So it's
Big
your more
text.
Yep.
Big text.
Yeah, that's a big one. Big text.
Honestly,
So it's your more simple dashboard. Great for I just want to see my solution. Your advanced dashboard's a little more going on, right? So I can see my rifle, which rifle it is. I can edit my muzzle velocity. I can change to wind. I can see my wind 1 and wind 2 speeds. I can see my elevation wind 1 and wind 2 solutions. So if you were to take a reading for 10 seconds, I can say what is my low wind speed recorded, my high wind speed recorded, and then your solution for your low wind and your high wind.
Sure.
So I can set that to be average and high, low and average, however you want to see it. So a little more going on, not always necessary, but for the guys who want to see that, that's there.
And the user can kind of choose their destinies. You mentioned you can kind of configure how that screen lays out. So whatever. You pick simple, you pick advanced. What I like about advanced, and especially because I shoot copper projectiles, is I'm interested in what my impact velocity is at target. And so with the data package I have right here, I'm at 1,728 feet per second on target at 1,000 yards. And that's pretty cool. As I amend and I can change the yardage manually here with the button press, I can watch my muzzle velocity, my bullet velocity on target change live while my data is changing. So it's requiring more elevation adjustment as I increase yardage. My velocity on target is decreasing. My energy on target is decreasing. My spin drift is very, very subtly increasing. Pretty cool. Like I get a kick out of that. That's a lot of intuition that you guys built into this, thinking about who are our users, how do they want to run it.
Well, and that's a big, you talked about like it's bitterly cold, so it's probably a lower DA, which is more dense air, so more drag and you'll miss. So most people don't know or care to know how that works. So this, right, it's got weather sensor on board. It'll just tell you what your solution is. If you don't want to be an expert, you don't have to be an expert, but it exposes a lot of that you can also learn as you go or build your knowledge.
And actually, like a lot of that in goofing with these products over the past couple of years has. I can tell you for me personally and for a bunch of my guys, like we've opened the third eye of external ballistics using products like these, using the app and learning things like that. It's made me a better shooter, more confident and comfortable shooter. It's pretty dope, no pun intended. Also has Snake on it, which is really quite interesting.
yeah. And another thing on the like simple advanced, kind of going back to the like customize your kit, do it how you want to. By separating them out like that, we actually got a chance to do, change different text sizes. There's some other things out there where maybe like you can choose what you want to be in this little spot. And where you get some configuration like that, but then you're locked into just this, it's almost back to like the 7-segment displays where like you got to live within the stuff that has lights, but by actually kind of making one that is like an advanced, a simple, maybe one more, the windscreen or for mover, that it kind of allowed us to really, almost kind of what you're talking about, like splitting with your dope, where like, well, I'm either going to be here and here, so I'll put it in the middle, and I won't be right anywhere, but it'll be less bad. So it was like we almost, as we were thinking about how to do that, and really shout out to our UI UX team, really made this look awesome. You guys would laugh if you saw the artistic capability within the engineering department. The structure was there, right? Like we knew like how we wanted to navigate stuff, but we did not know how to like do that professionally or like make it look professional. So just in a lot of ways, I think a lot of the teams here at Vortex have really, contributed to making it everything that it is.
I love that you also put our phone number in there in the about.
That's for you.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep.
That's Ryan's phone, right?
That's
right. That's fantastic.
Yep. Personal cell.
And there's a lot more. Like
in case of emergency, call.
It's happened before. It'll happen again. There's a lot more within the ACE. Like there's 9 different tiles that we can get into on the dashboard. We're not going to go into all of them, right? Because that in itself would be a full length. And maybe we can. We can do that later as a singular.
I'll gloss over them quick. There's 4 views, right? You talked about simple, advanced.
Yep.
Dustin mentioned wind and mover. So wind is just more of a dashboard to see your wind. Mover, I can input a mover speed and see that lead on my solution, or I can calculate the speed of a mover. I can watch it in my reticle, time out the distance, and calculate speed. And then you've got one is menu. You've got your range card and chart mode, so I can see like every 50 yards what my dope would be, or I can manually input different targets. So I can do up to 10 targets on 10 different range cards. That's settings.
100.
Yeah, it is. He's not even engineering. Yeah.
One other thing.
I trust your math.
A cool feature to shout out there on the windscreen in particular, kind of a new thing is, so if maybe you've heard of like MV truing or BC truing that's in the Ballistics app, we've actually got a wind truing feature. So the idea being like maybe you measured your wind here at the line, right? You had 10 miles an hour. Say it was a half mil call out for your wind, you shoot, and it's actually like 1.2. So like your net wind total is different. So what that windscreen gives you an option to say, actually it was 1.2, and then it's going to go back and recalculate your wind speed.
Was that something you guys put in recently?
No,
that's been in for a while.
It's been in for a while.
It's one of those sneaky little features hidden in the corner.
So what I'm wondering is, did I just not notice it before? Because when I opened up the wind menu earlier, I was like, wind truing. These guys are smart.
I don't know. Maybe you were playing with one of those 3D printed ones we were talking about earlier.
Well, so the one that I have is the electric eel green.
Oh, nice.
So that goes back a ways. So that's pretty interesting. I'm pretty excited about this product. What else can we talk about with it?
Oh, whatever you'd like.
Well, I mean, I think you know what I want to talk about. I just don't know that we're there yet.
Pop it off.
Are you sure?
I'm assuming that's where you're going.
Yeah, it's where I was going. Am I pushing this the right way? Yes, I am. This one is snug. There we go. Well, now I can't read the wind anymore.
Correct. I think that's probably all there is to say about that. We'll let the viewers extrapolate from there.
Thank you.
But yeah. So I don't know where the camera is, but there's 6 connectors up there. You can see some connectors on the bottom here. It's got like a dovetail, almost like a drill battery, snaps in, makes connections, and that's how we're communicating wind speed data. It can identify it's the wind module. Yeah, and beyond that, use your imagination.
Keyword there is the module. The module tells us, this one, that the wind is blowing at a speed. It just clips right on there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
Everything's modules these days.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a real consistent thing with relay, with from relay as a whole to the individual products, right? We already kind of said like customize your kit. You don't need to buy this one and this one and this one. You could get just whatever one you want, and then they're upgradable devices, right? So through the GeoBallistics app, we can do software updates to actually like you bought this product and we can make it better for you like while you have it. So you think like Tesla or whatever, the vehicles where they can update and actually like give you more horsepower. So we have that capability within all the relay products. And then even like as you go, it's almost like the fractal, as you go down to the device, even the module is now something that we can upgrade or customize as well. So
that's been, as somebody who's used a number of different ballistics solvers over the years, just speaking to the app and the ability to, what do we call it, over the air, OTA?
Yep.
I know when they're coming because I'm on the email chain, but often I forget. And then I like wake up in the morning and it's I think now it's my second or third most used app. Cause I model in it all the time just to see what things will do. And then I open it up. I'm like, what? Why is it screen? Oh yeah. Today was the OTA. Yep, that's why. And it's a new app, or it has an incredibly expanded feature or something like that. And it's all translative. My data's still there. Maybe it looks different, or possibly executes a completely different function that we didn't have in there before. Like GB on the last release was a 7.2.1 or 7.1.2.
Yeah.
That release.
Yeah, that sounds right.
One of those. We have so many test versions. I get those numbers mixed up.
Compared to the previous version or iteration of it, it's a completely different app from like.
Yeah, I mean, core function's the same, right? Your rifles are still there. Just like you said, your data's still there. The solver's still the core solver, but all of a sudden now you can see what your reticle looks like, and I can save a scope, and I can share that scope across rifles, or I can create ammunition that I can use across rifles. So everything still works the same as it did before, but now I can do more things I couldn't
expanded.
do.
Yeah.
And that's right. The App Store, if you have it set to auto update, you'll wake up and it'll be there. The devices, to Dustin's point, we can push new firmware up on a server, and then the phone will say, hey, there's new firmware. Do you want to download it? Click a button, yes. It pushes it over to it. And now maybe we have Tetris on the device instead of just Snake, right?
Right.
So,
right. Or and maybe even so if you're a customer who's got an impact right now and you haven't updated it, you probably have an update waiting. So one great example on the impact was customer feedback, particularly from like coyote hunters. Minimum brightness was just too bright, So we're doing an OTA to make that brightness not as bright, right? So we can get customer feedback and actually put that into their device. They don't have to ship it back to us. Nothing like that.
They don't have to buy the new version.
They don't have to buy the new version. Exactly. So there's, I think the impact's a pretty good example of that here in that, we've got a new feature unlocked for those customers now too.
And I, as a consumer, I appreciate that because they're not inexpensive. And so you're extending, like we'll call it product shelf life or viability significantly. Like if you have the physical hardware and it can be updated with the newest, latest, and greatest, you don't have to buy Gen 2. We don't have to take more money from you, and you have to look at this and be like, well, what am I going to do with Gen 1? Because it's still going to be useful much longer than if something, radical changed. I didn't realize you could modify the brightness.
Oh, yeah.
Again, the forethought that you have put into product development is astounding.
And maybe one more thing to add with OTAs, we talked about the product. So if I want to change how the product operates, add a feature, that we can update the microcontroller on there, the brain on the device. But that relay network that's sharing information, how rifles talk, that's kind of a separate chipset, and we can update that separately. If we want to add something ballistics related or make it communicate something, add what your scope is, and there's a device that can leverage that. We can update what's being shared across devices too. So there's almost kind of two distinct OTA updates. One is that microcontroller and one is that Bluetooth chip. So if we want to upgrade the relay network, you've got the foundation with the product you bought 2 years ago or the product that just came out, and we can adapt that up to today's standard.
Sure. Love that. Again, just think it's very customer forward thinking. We're not having to pull the product back in, gut it, put some new wires and chips in there.
Yeah, even send it in for an update can be a pain.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Because you're without your device and maybe you really need it, or you're just without it and shipping time, and it's a pain in the butt.
Oh, and the other nice thing, too, is you don't have to necessarily seek out, gosh, I wonder if there's been an update, or do I need...
Right.
We're going to let you know.
It'll tell you.
Yep.
And one of the other cool things the app guys have done is they've made it now, too, to where even if you don't, maybe like your impact's in the safe, it's turned off, and you don't have a reason to pull it out, but you're checking a drop chart or something else in GB, it'll tell you, even though it's not connected, there's more updates available. If you want, you can go, it's out there waiting for you if you want it.
Love it. Cool.
So just real quick to recap the ACE, what are the different types of things that it has on it feature-wise, and then that's going to give you, that customized ballistic solution.
So I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for with that question mark, but
we've
right
got
on
the
board,
wind
there's
meter,
temperature, pressure, humidity.
Yeah.
It's got the wind speed, so it can spin around and tell you wind speed. It's got a compass, so I can record what that wind speed is or the wind direction and share that with other devices. And then an inclinometer, so I can point it at my target, capture the target direction, inclination, turn it to wind, get the wind direction. And then if I update the target, it'll take that stored wind direction. So compass, inclinometer, temperature, pressure, humidity, wind speed.
Perfect.
Those are the big ones.
That's exactly what I was looking for, Ben.
Perfect. Nailed it.
I didn't phrase my questioning as well as I would have liked.
Yeah, and again, I think a really important thing to hit in again is how easy it is to build or update your ballistics profile from the device. So aside from all those things.
Well, and that's something we were talking about yesterday briefly, kind of coordinating the podcast today, is the usability, the functionality. Simple is good. Like oftentimes when you get things that are doing things as technical as these items are, it can be complicated, or the menus are, you're trying to navigate this, you get lost, you get frustrated. Ryan and I were talking about an old GPS that I had that I bought many years ago, and at the time it was the absolute whiz-bang, top tier. I never figured out how to use the darn thing. I think we actually had the same one. We both put it back in the box to never see the light of day.
Correct. I should find that. It's funny. I just I hadn't paired the devices to my app. So I opened up GB. I went into the Bluetooth menu. It says, "Oh, would you like to pair your ACE?" Yes, I do. And immediately it's like, "Oh, device updates. Following have updates ready to go." Oh, okay, update now. No, I'm not going to use my range cards. I'll use my rifle profiles though. Boop, done. Just like that. That's where we use a boop, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That was
the proper.
That's the correct syntax. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Gosh, that's handy. Thanks.
And so just the definition of boop there is that the profiles from the ACE booped over and are now on GB. And so it's you don't have to enter it again. You can propagate your profiles and range cards from device to device. It'll tell you if they're different. So it was first time connection. Ryan had put in his actual profile into the ACE, and then it said, "Hey, do you want that to be on your phone?" And it's done. And now next time, if he turns stuff off and on, it'll come back. He won't get that message because it's already the same. And that's kind of where, when we talk about relay and the what does relay do, there's kind of some features that are boiled in, and that's one of them, is that you're going to have one version of the truth for your profiles, your range cards, your wind and weather data. So it's a way of kind of controlling all of that from just the rules about how the devices are allowed to talk to each other. That's a lot of what the relay development was, and really big testament to Ben early on, and thinking about all those things. That I think it was maybe 4 years for impact.
From ideation to product launch was about 4 years, and really a big shout out to a guy named Todd, who's since retired, but he was one of the big kingpins of relay as well.
The Todd father.
The Todd father.
Yeah.
But you see that, so that was a lot of hard work for something we couldn't really, it wasn't like he here, this is the thing that we've done. It's relay. But now, 2 years later, we have, 3 new products sitting in front of us and more that are coming even quicker. So we took that 4 years. Now it's 2 years for multiple, so it's going to be really exciting as more stuff keeps coming and we get this momentum going with that relay infrastructure.
I'm just moving profiles from my regular GB library into the now new on my screen Vortex relay rifles. And it is the moment like I let off and hit save, it's just boom, my screen changes on my ace and new profile.
You can batch move them too. If you want to move these 5, you can highlight those 5 and say move to this folder, and they all go.
That is just slick.
And that you kind of touched on something that's pretty core, right? From an engineering standpoint, software to develop it is one of those core things, but users probably don't care. What they see is if I connect a Talon and Ace, the solutions are the same.
Yep.
Even though they're different weather sensors, right? We sync up the rifles, so it's the same data. We say you can decide which weather source you want to see the weather coming from. So they're going to agree that either this is saying what the weather is or that is. So now we've got the same inputs. It's the same solution on both. So it avoids the I'm on my binoculars and I see a dope of 7 MRAD. And then I go to my ace and I see 6.5 and I go, well, now what? Right? Which do I hold? I've kind of lost some trust. So
Exactly. And also which one is leading the charge here?
Yep. And I give the example. I like to keep my binoculars under my coat when I'm hunting because then they don't swing around. Or I'm not a big bino harness guy. I probably should be, but right, the ace might be clipped outside or outside of my pack. That can provide weather. That's going to be more accurate than under my coat warm. But I want to range from these, right? I'm going to pull them up, range. It's going to send that range over to the ace, couple with the weather, and say, here's your data to use. And both solutions are going to match. So I'm going to see data in here that has range from this, but weather from that. It's going to use the agreed upon rifle. So if it's Ryan's 300 Super Wisdom, it's got that data that's shared. And a cool thing, like if I go to the range and true my data and I change the muzzle velocity on the ace when I'm out there, next time I connect the Talons, it'll say, hey, these are different, which is right. And I'll say, oh, the ace is because I just updated my muzzle velocity. And now, boop, they're agreed again.
Another proper application of boop.
I think so.
Yeah.
I get checked sometimes.
You can't really overstate how important that is, though, having that check and having that single sort, not having different data between these devices, the fact that it's only going to let you pick one. And, to me, that it's just so critical. I don't even know how, I'm not articulating it correctly, but it would be an absolute nightmare if it wasn't doing that.
Well, and it sounds so simple. And it's like, well, they both have weather sensors. It should be close. Well, they probably are. But what if it's a whole different rifle? What if the 300 Super Wisdom was on that, but this had a 223 that I shoot, and I didn't catch it, right? So we show the names pretty much everywhere, so we try to make it easy to see, but it just avoids the mismatch. I have to consciously make that, and it's across all.
Well, we've been talking about the Talons a lot within the context of this conversation, but we haven't really talked about them as a standalone unit. So, number one, these are a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
This is a very, very
long-awaited,
yeah, much needed,
cool, feature-rich, technology-rich, laser range-finding binocular with a ballistic solver, onboard atmospheric sensors, all the things, and incredible optics.
Yeah, the Talon HD 10K ballistic laser range finding binocular. I got to say it once for marketing, the whole name, right? But
Are you beholden to that? Did they tell you that?
They didn't, but now I get the bonus points with them.
Oh,
so
okay.
Oh,
we're
for
good.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to dig out of the
Next
hole.
time we need that data manual, we'll be like, hey, we did that shot up before.
Yeah.
But yeah, right, the 10K is 10,000 yards. So on reflective targets, 10,000 yard performance. There's a 10X, 10 by 42, and a 12 by 50. The 10 is slightly less, so 4,000 yards on trees versus 4,200 yards on trees, 2,400 yards on deer versus 2,600 yards on deer, but both very capable.
Is that objective diameter related?
Yeah, so when it's looking for that laser signal to come back, this has a 50 millimeter hold a look, this has a 42 millimeter hold a look.
Sure.
So
I've been playing with these for a little while too. It's comical ranging things at obscene distances.
it's almost like topography. That like if you've hiked in the mountains and which peak is this on a map, like, well, now I can range it and find my distance.
Well,
the kind of numbers it is.
And so that's what I've been using what I call high capacity rangefinders for probably the past, I think whenever we were in prototype with the Viper 3000, that's when I really stepped into a long range rangefinder. And I found myself course plotting with it as much as doing anything. And doing exactly what you said, like, is it that peak? And then hit it. This is over 3 times the capability of that device, and that thing was bananas. I've had it up near where I live. I've got a giant rock outcropping that I do a lot of training on, and having it on a tripod and tagging boats on the lake at 9,400 yards and silos and houses and I mean, it's crazy.
Well, and the return is
instantaneous.
Yeah.
I think the first time I touched one, we ranged the water tower in Ridgeway, and it was 8,000 some yards, and I just picked it up and went click 8,000. I was like, okay.
Yeah, not even on ELR.
Nope, just tagged it. Water tower is a good target. But this is a cool product, and like for me personally, I've avoided integrated units for pretty much one reason, and it was optical quality.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a number of great integrated units out on the marketplace for the consumer right now from a number of great companies. And one thing I people will ask me, they're like, oh, you must, because you hunt all over the place and for crazy things, you must use the newest, latest, and greatest. And like, I don't. I never have. And the reason is, well, I'll just be very candid about it. It would have been 2015 when we were prototyping integrated units for the first time. They said, are you going to use them? And I said, I don't know. I've never used anything like that before, but I'll let you know at the end of the season whether I will. And I kept track of every second, minute, and hour that I used an optic. So I had rangefinders, spotting scopes, binoculars, and rifle scopes. And if I was bracket glassing a drainage, or if I was taking a shot, or if I was ranging a target, to the best of my ability, I would log the time. And at the end of the season, I'm looking at this log, and I'm like, and I condensed it then into an hour. So I said, okay, we have 1 hour is what we did. For like 59 minutes of that hour, I was using binoculars. And for 15 seconds of that hour, I was using rangefinders. And I thought, okay, my precedence is evidently on the optical quality. Like that is where I put my money and where I put my time. And like that's what I'm doing the most of, is glassing through a pair of binos, either on a pod or just a quick looky-loo. And it's a critical piece of equipment. And with the integrated units, and I've used a good number of them now from a lot of different companies. If you look at the non-integrated version versus the integrated version, typically speaking, the non-integrated version is going to have the best foot forward from an optical standpoint. And so I said to myself, well, there's a convenience factor. It's one piece of gear instead of 2 pieces of gear, and I'm going to pretend this is a rangefinder that I have to manage. And that's nice, but I'm going to give up a little bit of optics. And that's hard for me to do because I spend so much time behind the glass. So when we got the first like optical samples finished and I'm looking at them, like my jaw hit the floor, and I'm like, whatever you did, like whatever voodoo magic you did that eliminates the extraordinarily common and characteristic like decrement in optical performance that you experience as somebody using an integrated device, it's not there. It is a unbelievable optical package. I feel like I would be giving up nothing that would make me hesitate.
There's nothing that you couldn't do with this, with either of these units, depending on, your style of hunting and the magnification that you need. I mean, if you're guiding coos deer hunts, man, those 12x50s are going to be pretty sweet.
Right on. Yeah.
If you need killer do-all, the 10x42. I mean, it's and Ryan, I've been in this exact same boat as you've been for the exact same reasons. Yep. Like I'm placing that precedence on optical quality, on glassing, on spending hours at a time. Yeah. Behind my binoculars.
One position, tripod, binos, and then a pile of snacks.
And then also, and not only for just the more pleasant, more effective optical glassing experience.
Yeah.
But if I can't find the darn thing, I don't need to range it.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Yep. Just feedback like that, I think it's cool to hear that. And, once we saw these samples and how good, the optics were in them, then we also have this really sweet active matrix display.
Yeah, which
right?
I'm
Which-
excited to jump into next.
Which you can do a lot with, but I think that one of the things like in back and forth, and I don't know if it came from you or there was an idea from testers about like the quick turn it off. Like the display is cool, but there's times when
I want glass.
you wanted to range for your 2 seconds and turn it off, right? And so just kind of back to that, having a UI that's understandable, that does the things that you want it to do. And it's like that feature costs $0 to like turn it off quick, but it highlights this other, great feature of the optics that, it's you kind of put a lot of those little things together and all the arrows start pointing in the same direction.
Yep.
I want to get into the display, but what you highlighted right there, that is a little thing that is a big thing that could be absolutely critical thing in being able
Right.
to shut that display off.
Yep.
Yeah,
And like no splash screen when it turns on. Right?
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
Like you guys know you got a Vortex product. If you got one of those, you want to use it. You want to turn it on and you want to use it.
Yeah, I don't need the credits.
Right,
and
right.
like the
Yeah,
Galaxy
that's only if you
long
beat
one.
Snake.
Okay.
That's only if you beat Snake.
What is the high level on Snake?
You got to find it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has somebody beat it here?
I think the high. So we did a competition in the room. I think 170.
Okay. You guys
Was-
are nerds. I love it.
We had all day to burn. so,
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
working very hard that day.
I hear that's what you guys do back there is just
Yeah.
play Snake and Pac-Man and
That's
such.
actually how they celebrated,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
optic coming to fruition.
I mean, we just hit on a lot. And Ryan, you hit the nail on the head to start that, like, well, it's integrated. So I've got a rangefinder that has to get bounced out. It's got to be received and understood on that signal. I've got to project a display in. How do I do that and not have the optical performance get hurt? Well, I mean, the short answer is you do, right? Physics, it's going to take it away. But when we set out to build these, we heard that on our current line that, like, they're good, but, for PRS shooting, I can't really spot trace. I can't see the splash. For Western hunting, it's just not great to glass. I can't quite see it detail, the distance. So we said when we do this, we're going to make them be great optics.
Yes.
And we're also going to pack technology in here. It's going to be a great rangefinder. You're going to be able to, we talked about the active matrix display, a cool feature. So if you look at the screen in here and I move this left and right, well, the display would roll. So we said, well, let's just look at the IPD angle, where this is set. And as that goes out, let's just roll the display with it.
Yeah.
So if you look through and roll it, it'll just automatically level.
That was something I was not made aware of that you guys were working on. And that was a huge, over the years of Fury, which is our predecessor integrated device, the number of those that came back to us for warranty because the customer believed the reticle was canted. And it was their individual IPD, interpupillary distance, and how wide or narrow they had to set the barrels of the binocular. So what Ben was mentioning is like that was fixed. So there was a neutral position, we'll call it, in which everything was plumb and square. If they had a very wide set IPD and they had to open the barrels, the display would tilt and like your reticle would roll to the left. And if they had a narrow set IPD, it would roll to the right. And people would box them up and ship them into us. And we get them out of the box, read the service request, say, oh, reticle tilt. Okay, well, so we jig it up and we said, nope, it's perfectly square. You make that phone call to the customer, and they're immediately like, oh my gosh, I wasted that time. And it's like, is there anything you can do about it? It's like, that's where my eyes are. It's like, unfortunately not. So you had you had that feedback coming from the repair teams, customer feedback, and then the intuition and foresight to say like, oh, let's let the reticle move when we change it, the IPD point. And so when I got handed a set and it's like, oh, neat. And I pulled it up and I looked and I saw the reticle kind of tweak and I thought, what did I just see? And then I opened the IPD up for my eye and then I went, doot, doot, doot. Oh, fabulous. I think that's huge. Can I talk about the reticle real quick?
Fire away.
Okay. So if you look on the box, it'll have a picture of the reticle with like everything lit up on it. And it's still not everything, because right now it's a reticle sample on there, not all the reticle samples that are on there. But there's a lot of information on, like, in your visual field when you're looking at it. And I think much like the debate, if you've ever called and talked to me about reticles, or if you've heard me talk about reticles and rifle scopes and like my personal preferences, simplicity wins the day for me. I don't want a bunch of heart stars, horseshoes, clovers, and blue moons in my reticle. I want a reticle with a defined aiming
Serial,
point.
yes.
Yeah, I do like Lucky Charms. I want things as simple as possible. I need the information that I need, and I need nothing more. And with previous generations of our integrated units and a lot of other integrated units on the market, like, you got what you got. And so when you guys were setting out to develop this thing and put the technology out for the shooter, you had people like me that want almost nothing more than a range and an aiming point. And then you had people who wanted the full gambit, whether they were law enforcement, military, competitive shooter, or just the enthusiast that's like, I want to know everything about this. How do you find the sweet spot? Well, the simple answer is you allow the user to control what is displayed on the screen. And so when I first got a unit, it was Eric Barber. He was going on his Elcon. We didn't all have access to the developer version of the app, so we couldn't necessarily program the data package for the rifle in the app, pipe it to the device. I had to manually program his data into the device. And I was like, okay, let's see what an active God that's going to be. That took 3 to 6 minutes, perhaps. And it's harder on the Bino than it is on this. This is super simple. Thankfully, you had a 300 Win Mag. I took one of your existent profiles and then just modified some of the parameters in there. And then I said, Rick, how do you want your reticle displayed? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, what information do you want on there? He's like, what do I need? I said, well, for me, I would want yardage. I would obviously want my values. I want to know what I'm getting for my vertical and my horizontal. Everything else, I'm kind of done with. I don't really care. Velocity on target is critical to me for the bullets that I shoot, and I think that's worthwhile having on there. And he's like, yeah, throttle it back to the simplest mode of function that you can that you think will make you successful. So you go into the menu, and you just simply turn on or turn off the given field. And this is literally menu, toggle, enter, or on, off. And you now have this super slick, clean reticle. Or if you want, a very busy reticle that shows you all the things that you might need to be successful.
Yeah, and when you say reticle, for those who are viewing and can see, you've got your DA, your remaining velocity, your time of flight, your target direction. Up here I've got my inclination, my modes. If I want to or not want to see those, that's what he's talking about. I can turn on or off. You can't turn off range because it's a rangefinder. You can not turn the display on, I guess. You can turn ballistics on and off, so I could hide my solution if I don't want to see that. But like the reticle and the range are always there.
Yeah.
That's about it. And
then the reticle, the actual center point that we are using, and this is something that actually you informed me of just the other day, Ben, which I was ignorant to. You can calibrate where the reticle, the center of, is on the device.
Yeah, so we try to align from the factory to your door. That laser's right in the center of the reticle. Yep. But there is a setting process, and if it ever takes a hard drop or slightly shifts, or maybe you're just the guy who, like, I'm trying to hit this small steel target, and it seems like I have to aim just low and left, you can bump where that reticle is on the screen to align to where that laser actually is.
And it's not something that I think we need to be cognizant of, because we can't see that IR beam that comes out of the device and, quote, paints our target. It is not a single point that comes out.
No.
It has a shape to it, and these are an ellipse.
Yeah, beam divergence is what you typically hear. So a rectangle or an ellipse, like kind of a rounded rectangle.
And is it horizontal? Is it vertical? Is it at an angle?
Angle 45.
Yep. So you can imagine, to Ben's point, if you're trying to range a really small target at a significant distance, if where you were ranging that 45-degree angle was not perfect, to be able to move that that little rascal up to the center there is great. So that's feature number one that I think is, number one, extremely important, but also very useful. Number two is you don't have to have a circle. You could have a box or a reticle.
And that I tried to take a picture through, and I don't think viewers are going to be able to see that, but you can set so it'll match your rifle profile.
Yeah.
But I can do like a grid reticle, so I can see 1/2 mil increments.
Yes, and the resolution on the reticle is valid. So
Yep.
if it's a 1/2 mil increment, and I've tested this, like you'll want to modify the brightness maybe a little bit and try to match what your environment is.
Try to get that nice crisp edge.
Yes, and make sure your reticle focus is set correctly. I'm not saying that this is going to replace the milling reticle in your rifle scope or your spotting scope, but for especially the competitive shooter or the spotter.
I was going to say, for the person who might be calling your
Yes.
shot, to give
Yeah.
you a correction that maybe you didn't see because you were under recoil.
Yep. So I have what, 8 mils total vertical,
Yep.
8 mils total windage that I have available to use as a spot, which is amazing. So I'm sitting there relaying data either to my hunting partner or to to Mark and I when we're at a NRL hunter match, and I can, which I don't think you can do at NRL hunter. I'm kind of speaking out of my backside there, but we're on the range. We're just shooting. We're having fun.
What's the classic, right? Like you missed 2 target widths.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's kind of helpful. I'll kind of come over. Now you can say
No, mil and a
6
half.
mils.
Right.
What were you doing? I told you 3, you dialed the wrong way, didn't you, Mark?
Of course not.
That's the classic.
Yeah.
Wind.
And so I just love that, to be able to scale the display to the need of the user. I just think is massively important.
Well, I remember the first time that I was looking through these things and we're fiddling with them. I'm like, oh man, I love all this amazing data that it's giving me. But again, to your point, I think we have a pretty similar use case, and we're on the back balcony. I'm like, man, I love this, but at the end of the day, when I'm hunting, I don't need this, and this. And you're like, well, that's fine because you can just remove those things. And I was like, cool, I don't need that. Oh, it really opened up my field of view. The display is less cluttery. If I don't disengage the display, it's not imposing on what I probably need to get done at the same time. So, and then like you said, for maybe you're a rifle hunter and a bow hunter, like I know I am, I can just go dial it back all the way down to range, and now I just have my range finding binocular.
Right.
Yeah, we've got a lot of sharp people back in NPD that listen and then understand what to do with that info. Like Ryan said, my display is crooked. It's like, okay, well, let's make it so it just rolls with it. Now it's not crooked for those guys.
I'm
Or
sure
like-
it's a little bit more complex than that. But
Well, right at its core, that's really all it is. You listen to the customer and what they're
Right.
saying, and you try to make a product that fulfills those needs. Right? The optics weren't up to snuff, is what we were hearing. So now these are true razor level optics. Locking diopter is something we heard at the price point that, like, man, it'd be nice if these locked. There you go, locking diopter.
I
So
wanna-
some are simpler and easier to figure out, but
Yeah. Just real quick, running through the full complement of display. There's an all on, all off button, which is super useful. Thanks for not letting me having to go through everything. Range mode, target mode, inclination, target direction, wind speed, remaining energy, remaining velocity, time of flight, density, altitude, and profile. So that's everything you would need. I really can't. I mean, aside from having like a personal planner in there to tell you when your next meeting is.
how many minutes till legal
The
light?
Cobra.
Yeah, that's funny. I love that. I think that's absolutely fantastic. So I just set this up. It's range mode. I have inclination, and I have remaining velocity. There, that's everything that I would want to know to shoot. Pretty cool, guys. Multitude of reticle selections as well. Is that something? And I hope I'm not leading something. That's an OTA that could change
Oh yeah.
down the line. So yeah, if we had enough requests for an interesting reticle, we could do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I hope any customers who are listening, we really do listen. I think honestly, the coolest features in these products here did not originate from a request inside of the room. It was from customers that Ryan hears from other folks in the organization, and we take it to heart, and we try to solve those problems. So we're really excited that now we've kind of got this with the relay network. We've got an infrastructure to be able to to answer some of those questions or deliver on some of those requests on products that you've already purchased. So, if everyone's screaming like, hey, we want to see a reticle that is just the Vortex symbol, like on your hat, something cool like that. Or, maybe there's like a Halloween pumpkin reticle. Or, who knows, right? I mean, if there's enough people asking for it, we're going to keep listening. So,
for you moose hunters that are in antler width units.
Oh, yeah. Maybe you don't have a reticle in your scope, or you don't want to be looking at the specific moose, through your scope with your rifle.
Here's a really easy way to determine legality. If you know the yardage and you know the mill call out or the MOA call out, there's some simple math involved.
Your ACE can do that math for you. Is a calculator.
Oh, sure. Yep.
There's a milling calculator.
Yep.
So you can enter distance, mills, and it'll tell you one of your units like inches.
That's fabulous.
I really need to know, is it 50 inches or bigger?
Yes.
Or actually, just to be safe, I'm going to say 55.
Yeah. Well, extra 5 on there, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have been cool with 51.
I'm not trying to knock something down and find out my math was...
Yeah, anytime's math involved, you round up.
Okay, love it.
The other thing that is really cool, I mean, all these, they're standalone units.
Right.
That can be used in conjunction with the GB app, which I would suggest, but if you program it all on the unit, you can do that. And then
that's a great.
And then they can talk to each other.
The GB app is really just another device in your ecosystem of products. It's a unique device, right? It's a phone. It's got its own computer, a touchscreen, but really what this is doing ballistically or sharing for your devices, you can do on the ACE. So it's a heck of a lot easier to like name a rifle on an app than it is a device, but it's really just another device in your toolkit.
Yeah, and that sounds like simple statement to make, like the app's it's just another device. But there's actually a lot that kind of goes into that for the app and then for all the devices. And it's been cool to see there's been some kind of fruits of that labor that we didn't expect. So, for example, the remote that ships with the impact, right? So that we set that up so that it controls the impact, right? And it actually could be used to control the talons, right? So you got them up on your tripod and you don't want to shake them when you hit the range button. Now you can fire your range laser with this remote without, knocking that. Because if you're trying to range 10,000 yards, it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to stay stable.
Even on a really rock solid tripod, that subtle input is moving you feet to yards, depending on what you're trying to hit and how far away it is. So, that's a fun little Easter egg too.
Right, and it's just it kind of comes on all back to that relay network. There was this infrastructure that we can, there's features that are readily available for us without any work on future products. I
think one of the more, I don't know how significant it is because I don't know that there's a lot of people left that are going to identify with the statement. But you remember when Jim went through his flip phone phase?
Yeah.
So you couldn't put GB on your phone, right? He was hopeless in that respect. If you are the kind of person that does not want this involved at all, in any way, shape, form, or capacity. So you're a flip phone user. My dad now has an iPhone 17, so he's high speed, low drag now. But if you are a low tech person, or for whatever reason this can't accompany you, it doesn't matter. The devices can handle all the things that you would need to get rocking and rolling. And our first jump into that was the Impact 4000, and there was customers, very specific customers that are like, yeah, we can't have a cell phone where we're going. It's like, oh yeah, no sweat. You can hand jam all the data in there. Like everything that you need, you can do from this, and you don't have to worry about this.
I guess that's what I was trying to get at earlier. Maybe I articulated it somewhat, incorrectly, but the fact that you don't necessarily need your phone.
Yep, you're complete.
Now I'll say this: for me personally, the phone is the only experience that I want to do because it is just so easy.
But we still have trepidation from folks that are calling up and they're inquiring about, like, especially the impact. Like, oh yeah, but I don't want to have to worry about my phone. You don't have to worry about your phone.
Right.
Like it's not a concern. None of these devices have to be tethered to the phone to function. Even with each other and amongst themselves. Like this is a very convenient way to use it. That is for sure. You have a lot of resources in the mobile app, of course. It is not required. And I think that's huge. Jim can go back to using a flip phone now. Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
What else?
Yeah, did we miss anything, guys?
We hit all the big points. I mean, I'm excited to get these in the hands of customers and, like Dustin said, get that feedback, hear what we hear, and if we need to make OTAs to, accommodate what people are saying, we have that capability. So I'm really excited to hopefully please a lot of people with these.
I think you will. I mean, you mentioned it earlier, but for many, many years, I mean, people have been really describing what the Talons are as the Holy Grail. I want a top-tier binocular with incredible glass. I want a ballistic solver. I want a rangefinder that, I'm not sure, 10,000 yards. That's like pretty crazy. But, it really is all the things. You could head a field with that, and really only that, and do everything that you want to do.
I will say on that 10,000 yards, they tasked me with ranging things at 10,000 yards, and finding things at 10,000 yards is a lot harder than I thought.
It was hot. Yeah.
You want a fun story in development? Well, we went up to Blue Mountain State Park is near us, and they have a tower. So we ranged road signs on the highway. And it's like, well, that one's 7,200. This one's 8,000. I can't find one between 8,000 and 10,000. So our test and evaluation group, there's some lakes in Madison. They rented a boat, stood on the shore, and drove backwards with the boat. Yes. And they basically maxed the lake out. They had to back up, but that's how they got there, because they like to be discreet. That could it range 9,550, 9,570? So that's how we confirmed our max distance.
What I ended up doing at that geological feature near my home, that terrain feature, is I put a pin on it from Onyx, and then I went to radius and I increased it to 10,000 yards, and then I used it's in the dev lab on Onyx yet.
The visibility thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
sure.
I moved the shade slider up, and I found out what was visible and then what was a roadway. And this was such a pain in the butt, because I was at that position, and then I would have to get visual confirmation on that spot. And then I'm like, can I actually see that spot? I'd get in my truck, I'd go drive to that spot. And then I'd look back up and was like, yep, it works. And then got the device and then went out there and found something shiny enough, and oh my gosh, it works. It was pretty cool. But it was a lot harder than I thought.
Oh yeah, we had to rethink it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get the full string of distance all together? It's like 10,000 yards is like, okay.
Yeah.
The next is the moon.
Yeah, right.
Next is the moon.
Yeah, it's pretty nifty.
Awesome.
So relay, it's scalable, it's available, it's very easy to use. I'm a technological chimp, and I can do it.
I mean, I think, and that's what I wanted to point out earlier, and Ben, you and I talked about that yesterday a little bit. Is just the ease of use for, you don't have to be a technological wizard to get these up and running and off to the races. It really is user friendly. Like you said, easy for me to use. On the back end, probably a little bit more went into it to make it so easy to use, but I can tell you I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was something we focused on. We wanted these to be easy and intuitive for users of any skill level, right? So making something that if you're a beginner, I can still do what I need to do, or if I'm an advanced user, I can still do everything I want to do. It's kind of hard to bridge that, but right, focused on it's intuitive and it is not limited in any way. It's a very capable system.
Yeah, we could trim every feature and make it real simple, but it then it's not, doesn't have all of the, impact for different customers.
Sure.
Well, I appreciate you giving me every feature and keeping it simple.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I just love that user scalability. Like it's great that it's there. I don't necessarily want it. Like I want to be able to turn things off as I need,
Right.
or turn things on.
You want to customize your kit.
Yep.
You want to make it for yours. And, that's another thing too. It kind of mentioned standalone device. You don't have to get all of them, but you can pick and choose what you do want.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just one. Maybe you're like, I've got a spotter in a cage and it'd be sweet to put the impact on it. Or, just different use cases. And it's going to be real cool to see once this is in the wild. And, like the guardrails are just enough to like keep things, one version of the truth. Stuff's going to reconnect. You're going to know where your weather and wind are coming from. But beyond that, let the stuff play,
I'm jazzed.
Well, and Ben, you touched on this earlier, but if you do have multiple pieces of kit within the relay network, being able to prioritize, which one, like you said, like you used your, I'm keeping my binos inside my jacket scenario. Okay, well, I want the ACE to be giving my weather, and being able to prioritize that and know where that information is coming from is just, it's super cool. And then, being able to see that in the app visually, like, we don't have it up right now, but you're just like, yep, this, this is my...
Yeah, this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3. Mm-hmm. So if I don't see number 1, run number 2 for my, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a interesting, there's some interesting problems that come up when you have more than one device in the network.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you handle it? Because like stuff's gonna turn off and turn back on, and like how do you do it in such a way that the customer always knows what to expect, right? So there's some things like that priority where like the customer can call their shot, say like if this one's on the network, that's where the weather comes from, or if that one's gone, then it'll go to the next device. And really give you something like repeatable, not that you have to relearn it every time,
Yeah. I don't know. I keep going back to those Talons though. Like for, I guess the last few years, I've been using the, Razor UHDs and then the Razor GB handheld rangefinder with Ballistics on it. But that unit, I've just been using the atmospheric sensors on the unit, and they've worked famously for me, and it's going to be the same here on the Talons as well. So, like you said, there's definitely different capabilities that you unlock with the different units, but with something like those Talons, man, you've got incredible capability in a single unit there. I mean, it is just impressive, and you just the optical quality. I cannot.
Yeah, my hesitations.
Overstate that.
My hesitations on integrated units are absolved.
Yeah.
So,
might be the biggest compliment we've gotten coming from you, Mike.
I'm just a guy. When we started these discussions, like many years ago, Rob had me in the hallway, and he's like, "Well, what keeps you from doing that?" And I'm like, "It doesn't work in the field." Just like the most curmudgeon-y old man I can say, anything. And he's like, "Well, stand by. Like, we're working on it." One thing I did want to point out, I forgot to point it out earlier. If you're a person who spends any time afield and you have flashlights, headlamps, rangefinders, things like this, things that drive me bananas is batteries. And this unit takes a 123, which is the battery to have for that system. That is so fantastic.
I'd say another design feature is where the battery lives within the optic.
Oh, yeah.
As well.
Out of the way.
Out of the way, unobtrusive, clean, tucked away.
Toolless.
You guys do, and with this, of course, did a lot of modeling. Like, hey, touch this, see if you like the way it feels. So 3D prints of the physical structure, print in the battery cap, the little dishes for your thumbs. And you walk around the building. We have 400 and some employees here at Vortex. And putting them into the hands of people like Paul Neese, who has just absolutely giant hands, like they don't make sense. And then, over to guys like Tom Leatherberry, who's
I wasn't going to name names.
They're average, right? Just figuring out how it works and fits with other people. I just think it was great. I just love that it was a 123, by the way, because, a lot of my handhelds are on 123s. I've got headlamps that run 123s. It's a darn good battery in the cold. It was good. Thank you for that.
Well, now did we cover it?
I think so. What are we missing?
I don't know. There's so much going on here. Possibly something, but I feel like that's a really solid overview.
I'm sure there's more to come.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Good.
Yep. Coming quick.
How's that? Spill the beans.
Well, I'm sure we'll see you guys here again shortly.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thanks. It's been a blast.
No, appreciate you guys swinging by to relay this information. Like I said, I couldn't leave it alone. I had to use it. If you got it, use it, right?
Yes.
Man, hopefully you guys out here enjoyed this podcast. These are some really, really cool products. I mean, they really are going to unlock new capabilities for you in the field, and they just are so user-friendly, and they're a difference maker, in my opinion. So thanks for listening. If you have any questions about them, definitely reach out to us. And, man, until next time, happy hunting and shooting. And you're probably going to have happier hunting and shooting if you get some of these products within the Relay Network, because they're awesome.
Man.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
There you have it, folks. Thank you very much for listening. As usual, give this video a like if you liked it, comment something below, and give us a subscribe to the Vortex Nation podcast channel. It would mean a lot to us. Also, why don't you give us a follow over on Instagram while you're at it, at Vortex Nation Podcast. We'd love to hear from you over there, and we'll keep you updated with all kinds of cool photos and videos from our adventures that we do here. Otherwise, we will see you on the next one. Thank you again. Happy hunting and shooting, everybody. Have a good one.